dispatch is comprised of 24 dispatchers that answer the primary 911 phone, as well as administrative lines of individuals from the citizens here in Jackson. And they also take the 911 calls and dispatch those calls for service. They also dispatch the police officers and keep up with their locations within the city of where they're checking out and when they check out with vehicles and with people. We also dispatch for the fire department on all alarm calls and fire calls that we receive. We can also transfer, and we do transfer, to other law enforcement agencies, not only within our jurisdiction, but our surrounding county as well, to emergency 911 centers and also to ambulance authorities, other law enforcement agencies that work in conjunction with the same thing that we do when we receive 911 calls. We dispatch and transfer to EMS and assist EMS because our firemen are first responders as well. So we dispatch those calls. They also work on the nation known as an NCIC computerized system. It's the nationwide crime information law enforcement database that they run transactions concerning individuals, concerning stolen property, concerning vehicles, boats, things of that nature through the database to see if it's stolen or if anybody is wanted or missing. And we also get information through that same database that allows for us to give out information from other law enforcement agencies from other states to be on the lookout for individuals and that may be wanted or that have escaped or stolen vehicles and property that's maybe traveling through our jurisdiction. 911 calls average between 135 and 175 per day. But we take in consideration our administrative lines. We get just about as many administrative emergency line calls that we get on the 911 calls. So they average about 350 to 500 calls a day. So about total could average between 485 to 575 per day. It actually depends on the month. It depends on the day, and it depends on the hour within that day as how many calls you get. The 911 text, we were actually the second agency within the state of Tennessee that got the 911 to text started. And it's a very unique system to where your text messaging, you can open up your text messaging on your phone as you would be texting someone. In the sent area, you would put 911, the two area, you would put 911. And then down in the message area, we're advising everyone that you need to put your address and then let us know what the emergency is as to whether or not you need police, fire, medical. Because that's the most pertinent thing that we need to know first and foremost is the address and then what the emergency is. We also have the ability to receive 140 spaces in that category. So you can tell us pretty much a lot of things in that category if you use the verbiage right and correct. We ask that you don't use any type of abbreviations or slang because that's not something that our department is familiar with or any other department would be familiar with. So getting getting the text to 911 is very handy, especially if you're in a position to where you cannot use your voice and call in for 911. It also is very handy for those that have a hearing or speech impairment and they need something from 911 that they can use the text to 911. We also advise, though, that if you can by all means call in and use your voice, that it's more adequate to use your voice on 911 than texting. But the text to 911 is a very beneficial source, and we are using that more just for that reason. COVID brought a couple of new interesting factors for us. One being that we had to inquire with individuals that were calling in wanting and requesting officers to come to their location or the firemen to come to their location. We had to inquire with those individuals as to have they been out of state, have they been in contact with any COVID. Those are questions that we have never had to inquire with individuals. As far as our being within inside of our department here, since we work 24/7, 365 days, all non-stop, we have to keep it clean as possible in here all year round and all days and the whole time, because you have shifts that are coming in and going out. Those people are out at home working other jobs besides this one. They also have children that attend schools. Their children that are grown attend colleges. So the cleanliness of our building and keeping it clean and keeping it sanitized for the safety of our dispatchers has always been a priority for our department. COVID just instilled a few more extra questions for their job duties and to make sure that cleanliness was provided. Our console area consists of 9-foot single seating areas. We even built some petitions in between those consoles to allow, but there's at least 9 foot between the individuals in there, and so that hasn't really deterred anything that we were already not doing except for asking questions to the citizen. The standard national time averages about 90% of calls in a 15-minute second. So I based ours on a 2-year span for January of 2020 to January of 2021, and it fluctuates. So on our 15-second, we average about 98.81%. So that's going above and beyond the national standard. Also, 95% of the calls are answered within 20 seconds on the national standard size. In 2020, we averaged about 99.32, which is going above and beyond. This year, in January of 21, we averaged in 15 seconds was 99.56. 21 seconds was 100%. So not only are we meeting this national standards and going above the national standards with our 15 and 20 seconds, our 10 seconds response, which we keep a tally of those, is 97 last year in January, and this year is 97.82. To maintain that, it takes staffing. And it takes the ability of the central dispatch operators and the 911 dispatchers to have the ability to continue training and to work together as a team. And also, we do quite a bit of quality assurances where we can pull and do tallies to let them see their performance level. Because when they actually log into the system to start their day of work, those amount of calls that are received under that particular login go to that dispatcher. So that's a way of keeping quality assurance, not for any type of negativity responses, but it's to show the positivity of what they're doing, the positive work response that they're doing, and how well they're doing, which enhances their ability to keep performing and also makes them feel good about themselves as well. I would like the public to know that these individuals that are 911 dispatchers are very compassionate about the work that they do. They may be behind the scenes, they may never be seen, but their voice is always heard because they are the first contact to the individual when they make that call. Their job level is very stressful at times. It can be very difficult at times due to the multitasking performances that they have to do. They could be answering a 911 call where someone has just realized that they have come in and their family member has deceased and they are not breathing. They are code to touch. Those are hard questions that you have to ask that individual. At the same time, you may have an officer that's yelling on the street through the radio system that's saying they're in foot pursuit of someone, or they've just been hit by their patrol car from another vehicle. So multi things can be happening at the same time, and those individuals have to be ready for that on go at the time that it happens. So it can be spontaneous. The reactions have to be spontaneous. They have to be on target at all times. You have to be ready and prepared. An individual that works in a 911 center has to have all that ability to be able to maintain that. And at the end of the day, when they go home, their gratitude for the job and the performance that they've done, knowing they've helped the citizens of their community as well as their firemen and their firefighters that they dispatch for and their police.